After many days of being very quiet, in fact weeks, the Deputy President has opened his mouth again and caused quite a stir on the Kenyan political scene. Hii deep state ambayo tunaambiwa itaiba kura, itafanya hivi, itafanya vile, tunaingoja sana. Tutapambana nayo tukiwa na wananchi na Mwenyezi Mungu. I'm of course paraphrasing. Of course, the Deputy President was referring to the statement, very controversial statement, by Oburu Oginga, older brother to Raila Odinga, who said that this time round, Raila will be in State House because they have the system on their side, the deep state on their side. Now, from the comments of people, including people in the Deputy President's camp, it is clear that most of us do not understand what the deep state is. Either that or the Deputy President's camp is extremely politically naive. Why? Because even the Deputy President himself has a deep state. It may not be very visible at the moment, but if and when he takes over power, this deep state, allied to the Deputy President, will swing into action, and we'll see the effects in our politics. That is how it works. So for our show today, I'd like us to address this question and answer it in great detail. What is the deep state? But first, a message of great interest to you. And indeed, if you're out there and you have a message, a product, or a service that will be of interest to audience, something genuine, something that will improve the quality of life, something that will help our audience on this channel to improve the quality of their lives, solve problems, etc., etc., you're welcome to get in touch with me. And we will talk about it in this segment of our show. Now, I want us to do this in a unique way, so that we're able to help as many people as possible. You can see details on your screens right now. Those are the questions you'll need to answer. What are the benefits of this thing that you want us to talk about? How much does it cost? Who has benefited and how have they benefited? Just briefly tell us how. And then, what kind of budget do you have? What kind of budget do you have to give people a heads up concerning this product or service? And then when you have answered those questions, and shot me an email, you can see the email address on your screens right now, I will be able to bring my team in to analyze your needs and also your budget and see how best to assist you so that you benefit as much as possible, and also our audience on this channel benefit from me mentioning and bringing to their attention what it is you're offering. So take action immediately. We're operating on first come, first served basis. That's the fairest way of doing things. Right. The deep state. In my view, the most accurate definition of a deep state is the secret manipulation of a center of power, like a government, usually in pursuit, of people's own agenda and goals, which is different from the agenda and goals of that particular center of power or government. That's my definition. The deep state is also sometimes called the cabal. Now, I'm going to simplify this so much that a standard 2 pupil will be able to fully grasp and understand what we mean when we say cabal or deep state. And so let me kindly request for the patience, of those of us who are very well read. Those of us who prefer to talk about things in complicated terms. You know, it is true, most of us do not like things simplified too much. Because when you do that, you're rubbishing the expensive university education. Or you're cheapening their pet subject. Most of us prefer to confuse and confound others with big words, complicated terms and theories, so that we leave them totally confused, so that they get very impressed by us. Huyo jamaa amesoma. Yani akiongea most of the times, I have no idea what he's talking about. That guy is brilliant. So, my sincere apologies in advance. If you're like that, forgive me. Please be patient, as I simplify things greatly. Now, I know one area of confusion that people have is they don't understand that you can have a local deep state and you can also have an international deep state. Okay, local cabal and international cabal. And that is why they get totally confused when Chris Kumekucha talks about a cabal that engineered a certain local thing. And then in the next video, he talks about a cabal that is pushing a global agenda. They get totally confused. So at least we've cleared that. You can have local and international. You know, there can be no cabal or deep state where there is no center of power. Where there is no honey to be eaten. And so, in my view, it is also possible to have a deep state in a family. Please humor me. I'm just trying to simplify it so that we totally understand what this animal is. So here's my example of a family. You have been living with your dear wife, for almost 10 years, and you've been very happy. You're happily married. You have a family. Everything is okay. And then one day, luck falls on your doorstep. Good fortune. You win $1 million US. Cash money. And so, all of a sudden, you have $1 million sitting in your account. Now, this example is not very far-fetched because sometimes, a practical example I've seen myself. There was this family where the man suddenly inherited a huge fortune from his father. The father passed on and he had this beach plot somewhere in Mombasa, and it was quickly sold. 150 million. Pop! Now, you have a center of power, economic power. So everything has changed. And because there's a center of power in that family, all of a sudden, a deep state emerges from the woodwork. And unfortunately, you have a mother-in-law who is very money hungry. She has been having dreams of having a lot of money for years. And now she's aging and her dream is slipping through her fingers. Then voila, she sees an opportunity. Now all these years you have not paid dowry. You have taken a few goats. You have always been supporting them financially. But you have not officially paid dowry. So all of a sudden, you receive a very polite call, from your father-in-law, whom you're very good friends with. You have a very good understanding with him. You chat with him. You even have a drink with him occasionally. But out of the blue, he suddenly calls you and he tells you, watu nyumbani wameleta shida. Hii dowry hujalipa. Na sasa unajua mimi na wewe ni marafiki. Lakini watu wananisumbua. He tells you he's under pressure for you to pay dowry. That's not a problem to you. You have 100 smackers in your account. Uko na mita 100 kwa account yako. So you budget 2 million. Yeah, but when the figures come to you, you discover that's too little. Yeah, they're asking for about 5 million. And you finish that exercise. Yeah, and you think it's all over. Huh? Your nightmare has just begun. Now, all this time you're having a lot of fun. Yeah, because you have a lot of money. Your life has changed. And therefore, you're not paying too much attention, to small details. But you notice your wife changes. Yeah. She starts always snooping around your phone. Huyu nani alikupigia simu? Who's this who called you? Yeah. Oh, that's a business associate. I want to buy a certain business, blah, blah, blah. Kweli. And then you notice, after a while, that the relationship between you and your dear wife has changed very dramatically. And you're puzzled, because one of the reasons why you married her, she has absolutely no interest in money. Yeah, she's not a gold digger. But all of a sudden, she's very concerned. This car you bought, it's under whose name? Yeah? And then she suggests to you, every car you buy, you should put under both our names. Or alternatively, you put them under my name. And you look at her and you say, huh? You can't believe this is not the person you know and you've lived with for almost a decade. Then while you're still trying to digest this, your wife's sister, your sister-in-law, comes to stay with you. Yeah. The story is that her husband slapped her. Yeah, and so she took off to come and stay with her sister. Yeah, your house. To cut a long story short, and this is based on actual events, a true story, that sister convinces your wife to start having an affair. This is shortly after she convinced you to buy her a nice brand new flashy car. To cut a very long sad story short, the deep state is at work here. And the deep state normally is hidden. You don't see it. Now, the person who was moving and shaking things here was the woman's mother. According to what she knew, if she forced a divorce between you and your wife, that 100 million in your account would have to be split in the middle. So your wife gets 50 million and you remain with 50 million. And her plan was that once her daughter has 50 million, she would have easy access to this 50 million. She would be rich. And I need to remind you again, this is not fiction. It's a true story. And I emphasize, the deep state is secret, hidden, in the shadows. In fact, some people call it a shadow government. Even though you have always been in good terms with your father-in-law, amekaliwa. His wife controls him. He has to do what she says. It has always been like that. And you have never noticed this before. Because the circumstances were not right. Nothing happened that would cause you to know this. And so you can't see this deep state. Because you look at your wife's family, the first person you think of is your father-in-law. You're okay with him, so there should be no problem there. So this problem must be coming from somewhere else. Or so you think. Let's go back to my definition. Secret manipulation in pursuit of their own secret agenda or goal. That is exactly what has happened to you. Let me tell you something else you may not know. Just an interesting aside. You can never compete with the parents of your spouse. They changed their napkins when they were small. They know them inside out. They know which wires to touch and which wires not to touch. They know how to manipulate their child very effectively. And they can do it over the phone while they are 1,000 miles away. Although in the true story I'm referring to, the mother-in-law visited and she stayed for almost a month. Probably finalizing her plans. For the curious, the way this story ended, is illustrated in one phrase. But God Almighty stepped in. The couple are still together. And of course the wife hardly ever, in fact almost never, talks to her own mother. Yeah, of course they're in talking terms. But that buddy talking all the time on the phone has ended. A lot of damage was done, yeah, because she had an affair. Yeah, but God is God. Yeah, that family has been healed. But I believe I've gotten my point across. Now, in early independence, with Jomo Kenyatta in State House, Jomo surrounded himself with close family members. Yeah, his brother-in-law, Mbiu Koinange, his nephew, a man called Njoroge Mungai. And I want to believe they all started with very good intentions, yeah, to make sure that their relative would be the best president Kenya ever had. But very early on, yeah, a problem was identified. There was a serious threat to the Jomo Kenyatta presidency. And these were the rich settler farmers, yeah, who had a lot of money. They were rich. And people who are rich, yeah, can easily overthrow a government. Yeah, they can organize for guns to come into the country. They have influence in government and all over the place across the country. They can easily destabilize any government. And so a decision was made, yeah, to ensure that those surrounding the president had enough financial clout, yeah, to come up against any other financial clout that would threaten the administration. But Jomo Kenyatta, yeah, was a very wise man. Yeah, despite his other weaknesses, he was a very wise man. So he made a very strict rule. No member of his immediate family would get involved in any business. Yeah, that included his wife and his children. But Jomo was an old man. And as his health got worse, as he slipped in and out of comas, this rule was flouted. It was broken. But that was just an aside. Yeah, that is how corruption in high places started in Kenya. But there was something else, yeah, that these close relatives did. Yeah, this kitchen cabinet of Jomo Kenyatta. Now, one of the most educated people in the group of relatives was a man called Njoroge Mungai. Yeah, he was a qualified medical doctor, having graduated, yeah, from the prestigious Ivy School, Stanford University in the United States. And the story is told of how he arrived at Stanford without a single cent in his pocket. It was a kind of sponsorship. But he survived and he graduated. Yeah, he did odd jobs here and there. And of course the rest is history. Now, Njoroge Mungai was the think tank, yeah, of this kitchen cabinet, the think tank of the deep state, yeah, in the Jomo Kenyatta administration. And he saw an opportunity for the Kenyatta family to rule Kenya forever. Now I'm giving an example of how an international deep state can work hand in hand with the local one. And of course the good doctor had access to the confidential intelligence briefings the president was receiving. And he knew that the Americans were very nervous about a man called Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, allegedly because of his communist links. Yeah, but if you listen to my last video, you know the truth. And so international objectives were merged with the local objectives. Yeah, the international objectives were to remove any Soviet influence in the Kenyan government, yeah, through their main point man, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. The objectives of the local cabal were to secure the presidency, yeah, so that there would be no threat to the presidency, making it very easy for a person of their choice to take over the presidency once Mzee Jomo Kenyatta passed on. I think you understand, yeah, because if you don't understand that point, it becomes very confusing. Yeah? Chris is saying that, the CIA did not want Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. Then Chris is saying, the local mafia, the kitchen cabinet wanted to get rid of Jaramogi. Which is which? Now, in my view, this is a very important statement. The cabal to worry about is not the local one. Why? Because we don't have strong institutions. And presidents in Kenya come and go. And therefore cabals in Kenya come and go. For instance, the Kibaki cabal is long gone. And very soon, the current one will be long gone. However, on the international stage, it is very different. There are strong institutions, and these institutions have been captured by the cabal. And so, even though presidents and leaders come and go, the institutions remain firmly in place. And what is more, the ultimate boss they report to has been around for a very long time. Let the wise understand. The best way of understanding this international cabal is to listen to the videos of a man called Barry Smith, the late Barry Smith from New Zealand. I have included a link in the description area of this video, of a video of Barry Smith, where he mentions President Daniel Arap Moi. Very instructive video. You can take it in after this. I have also included part 1 and part 2 of that particular video below it. If you take in all these videos, you will fully understand what I'm talking about. How these institutions have been controlled for decades by this cabal for a certain objective. And more importantly, how this cabal works. I was very fortunate to actually listen to Barry Smith live at a place called Valley Road, the Pentecostal church at Valley Road in Nairobi. The man talked for almost 5 hours. Nobody got bored. We were just on the edge of our seats. And at the time, I was a very young man. I didn't even understand what he was saying, half of what he was saying. But it was still very interesting. And although it didn't make sense to me at the time, it makes perfect sense to me now and here as we speak. Many of the things he said then sounded very far-fetched, extremely far-fetched. In fact, if he was not talking inside a church, many people would have just rubbished him. What is this New Zealander saying? What rubbish is this guy saying? Doesn't make sense. This is a madman. But today, oh my God, today it makes perfect sense. Now, Barry Smith went to be with the Lord on 27th June 2002. But this particular interview was done in October 2000. And it is amazing how a lot of the things he talks about, which were then predictions, have now come to pass. And if you listen keenly, you'll notice that he was not even fully aware of exactly and precisely how these things would come to pass. But he was accurate, spot on, about them happening one day. Remember, this was 20 years ago. 2000 was 20 years ago. Almost 20 years ago. To be precise, it'll be 20 years this October. I trust that you have now fully understood, Standard 2 explanation, what the deep state and the cabal really are. Because it's extremely important that you understand. When you understand, you'll know exactly why I'm saying that. May the good Lord, God Almighty, keep you and keep you in wisdom and understanding. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.